All right, where are we at, Mark?
Brushy Lake in the Bankhead National Forest in Alabama. This is their day use area. The campground's right over there.
Over there.
Back over there. And the lake, you can tell, is way down. Well, let's walk down to the sidewalk now.
Mike's over here.
It's a pretty nice place.
So we're just out wandering and loafering today, huh?
Now we're actually looking for some camp spots to do some more Bigfoot research. Big old pines in here. Yeah, you can tell the water's way down. They got a little walking track like.
And what is that area over there where you can get down to the bank?
Yeah. So, I think I read something about there's a little beach area in here somewhere.
Over there, it looks like. See the white shining through over there?
Yeah, I see something over there. I don't know how you get over to it.
Well, that drought started the leaves falling, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It did.
Falling prematurely.
Right.
But it sure is pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, this lake's down a good bit.
Look at the color.
Yeah, it's starting to get pretty. Yeah, this lake's down a good bit.
I need my fishing pole.
Yep. Right here would be a good place to stand here with a thermal, scanning them banks at night. Yeah, this probably be some good fishing in this lake. Yeah, you can tell the water's down.
Yeah, because all that over there is supposed to be underwater.
Yeah, it's usually underwater. And you can kind of tell looking at the bank in a couple of places.
I'm going to walk over there. Yeah, that's the white I was seeing. That's not the beach, is it?
No, it ain't quite a beach. I think we gotta go up here back on the sidewalk.
Probably.
It's pretty nice in here. Got restroom. Yeah, we're just wanting to check out a couple of campgrounds today. We're going to head on over to Little Bear Creek here in a minute. And, check it out too. It's a place we had an outing in 2008. It was very boogerish there. Well, we could come that way.
Yeah.
I didn't see that trail.
Be all right.
Campground back in here, you can see some of the tents.
Yeah. So that takes you back to the campground.
Yeah.
Other side. Since we ain't got mics on.
Yeah, I know. You should have brought them with us.
Should have. This is pretty.
Pretty nice little pier. Place some of the boards in. Pretty shallow up in here.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder where you put your boat in at. You gotta have a little boat ramp somewhere. Because this is probably the upper end of the lake, I would think. Maybe I'm wrong.
I do not know, babe.
That beaver's got him a trail back and forth.
Is that him over there?
Huh?
I said, is that him over there? On the log pile?
I don't see nothing over there.
No, I was just saying, is the log pile him?
No, he'll have a that in the middle yonder.
Mm-hmm.
That's more like a den there.
Okay.
It's real shallow in here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna turn it off.
Okay. I don't know if the main lake's over on the other side or how. Good morning, this is Mark from Cedar Creek Bottoms. Farmstead Life with another Friday's Fireside Chats. I hope everyone's doing okay. Ooh, it's a cool morning in Alabama this morning. 29 degrees. Big killer frost. So, had pretty good frost yesterday. So, winter is here, I guess you could say. Come in kind of early. But I love this time of year. Being able to see a lot better. Just all the colors of the trees changing and the crisp air. It just makes you feel good, gives you a break from the summertime, and then of course when spring and summer comes, then you look forward to it. So anyway, today I'm heading home from work, and I'm going down a road that I go down pretty much every day, pretty much on a regular basis. This road has two significance to me. One would be that my mother was actually born on this road in a house across from Riser's grist mill. She is the only one of her siblings born over here. They've been in 1938. My grandfather was running this grist mill. Ran it for a couple of years and then went back over to Cuyahoga, where most of my aunts and uncles were born at. One thing I remember being said about this place is very beautiful over here. Is my grandma did not like living over here. Never did really get the reason why, but she didn't really like living over here. And it may be because what I'm fixing to bring up. I have two sightings from this area. One encounter, plus another sighting back a few miles. I just passed it. And Jonathan Odom received a couple of sightings from this area. So, tells me this area's got some boogers right in here. It's very rural. Most of it's timberland mixed in with row crop and cattle. Very few houses on this road. So it's just, a pretty rural road. A lot of people use it for a shortcut. I've seen a lot of deer, turkeys, squirrels. I've seen coons, foxes run across the road. So I know there's a good percentage of wildlife here. So we're coming up on one of the siding areas. It was a cotton patch, and it's planted in cotton this year. Farmer, I think, rotates it every couple of years. You have corn, then beans, then cotton, back and forth. A young girl was coming home late in the evening in the summertime in July. I can't remember the day, but I remember her telling me it was July. It was close to dark, which would probably have been in the 7:30, going on 8 o'clock time period. And she come around right exactly like I'm doing right now. You can see the cotton field coming up. There's a curve here. As she rounded this curve, she could see a tall figure out in the cotton patch. Of course, the cotton patch that time of year would just been green. I don't know if it had been that tall like it is now. She noticed that this figure was kind of a dark brown, and she noticed it was tall. But she thought for a minute it was somebody out walking in the cotton field. But as she got closer, she realized that she didn't think this was a man, and she actually could see hair. This animal never turned and ever looked at her, or this being never turned and looked at her. So that, in fact, it started going across the field pretty fast. She said it didn't run, but it walked pretty fast, and she noticed it was just moving, very smooth across the field. Of course, she got home, and I'm going to show you this road here in a minute, and it's going to have some significance too. I'm not going to go up through here, but there's another sighting that happened right up on top of that hill. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. And what's strange is the old grist mill is right here too, where it used to be, and where the house my mother used to live in. So, of course, that freaked her out. She went home, told her parents. They told her she just mistakenly seen somebody. Don't know, I never did get a full answer from her how she got my name and number to call me. This has been in 2012 too, by the way. I'm going to show you something else in a minute. Maybe I won't get run over. You can see down in here. This is where the old grist mill used to be, right there. You sit on this bank right here, and the house my mother grew up in, or born in, I think she was like 1.5, maybe 2 when they moved from over here. Anyway, going back, I just thought I'd throw that tidbit in there. Going back, she called me, started talking to me about it, described, she thought it was in the, 7, maybe even 8 foot range. She said she never did see its face, but she did, as she got closer, she could tell it was, hair. Now, at the point she said where she could really see it pretty good, she was probably maybe 40 yards from it. I did come over here and ride and stop and kind of picture that. And you, if that was something standing there, you could tell if it had hair, it was at 40 yards pretty easy. Like she said, it was dark brown. She said that, it moves smoothly across that cotton patch. So, real interesting. So that was in 2012. Now, January 2013, right over that hill there's a bunch of property, and there's a bird hunting plantation where people come and have a guide. They go bird hunting. And I'm going to pull up here to the creek a minute. This is Weoki Creek. I'm going to try to pull where you can see it. Hope y'all can. I've took pictures of this before. can see down in there. Maybe I turn the camera. My dash is kind of in the way. May need to do some adjusting on this thing here. I'll sit here a minute and tell you about this one. He hunted till dark. The preserve, served supper that night. He stayed, ate supper. They had cleaned his birds that he had harvested during the day. He got ready to leave. He said it was probably around 7:30. Like I said, this was January of 2013. And he had seen on his GPS that dirt road come over that hill and hit into this area and carry you back to Highway 76, then right to 21. So he just decided to, because it showed him it was actually shorter than going the other way. So he turned and come up that road from the plantation house. Gets up there, and I'll show you a little more in here. Maybe you can see some better. As he come up the hill, he seen a tall silhouette of something in the road. A little bit of ambient light, and he could see the silhouette. He knew it was very tall just by the way it looked, so he thought somebody was out walking. And anyway, as he got closer, this silhouette, which he noticed was very wide looking, he said this silhouette turned sideways and started walking across the road. About that time, his headlights really hit it as it got to the right side of the road. It was going from left to right. And that's when he noticed that it wasn't a person, but a being. He said it was full of hair, another dark brown color, 7 to 8 foot tall. And he said, and when he noticed when it turned sideways, that it looked very muscular-like, maybe like a basketball player or a track star, but slim and lanky. So, and pretty much what the girl said too, that the one she saw as it was going, when she first seen it, it looked kind of slim, but when she seen it from the back side, it was very broad. So that's one thing I've noticed with the boogers in this area, Talladega County, maybe Coosa. They're big, but they're not chunky. They're more slim built. Now you think about living in the woods and climbing these hills and creeks, you would probably be built more of that now. Now I know there's people seen the big ones, and I'm not going to say that ain't right. But what I've seen and what reports I have took in my area, they seem to be in the 6, 7, 8 foot range. But there is one big one on the hunting club that might be a 9. I don't know just how high he was when I looked at him, but at the night time. But so there's two sightings within probably 400 yards of each other, possibly the same booger, 6 months apart. So it told me there's one, at least a few hanging out right in that area. There's a big creek bottom. There's one old house place back there. You can see it in the wintertime. The old house is still there up in the holler. So very good place. Now I'm coming on down this road here, which is going to be maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles away. And y'all can't see, there's a pretty good little mountain ridge, not no gigantic, it runs along with that creek all the way up through here. And, up here at the end of it is where I got another call from a lady who worked with my sister, and She knew I'd done Bigfoot research. She gave me a call, asking me questions about Bigfoot. So me and her were talking, and I asked her, what was her curiosity, about this. She said, well, I'm hearing stuff at my house that are strange. Things are getting moved around in my yard. My dogs don't want to go outside at night. She said, just real strange. She said, hearing stuff up around the house. Just different things like that. So I asked her, could I come over and look around her property? She said, sure. So I came over one day, and me and another friend of mine walked around, went up in the woods behind her house, because they owned on up the hill. They had a good bit of woods on their property. So we walked up there looking around. I don't know, I didn't really find no sign, but I did feel eerie while I was there. Now I will say there's another creek that was right here close to where her house is, and that's Little Tallahatchie Creek. And then right on past it over there is Tallahatchie Creek, and this Weoki Creek that we stopped at a while ago. Little Tallahatchie and Weoki dump in the Tallahatchie over here within a half a mile of each other. So it gets down in this creek bottom land in here. When I went to asking her what kind of sound she were hearing, she said the whooping sounds, which I said the whoops. She said yes. She heard what we think is tree knocking. Heard some whistles at night. And then she said a couple of times back further up on top of the mountain at night, they heard some just sound she couldn't really describe. She said it was almost like somebody yelling and turning into a big growl. And her question was, did she have Bigfoot? And that was something I was fixing to talk about. I told her, I said, by what you're hearing and what you got going on around your house, stuff getting moved out in the yard, pots, tools, like shovels and stuff. And I told her it's good possibility that she had a Bigfoot. So, given that there'd been 2 sightings back up about 1.5 miles to 2 miles away from her home. So I'm pretty sure the lady had a Bigfoot. And when she asked me, and of course I asked her, I said, do you think you have Bigfoot? She said, yes, I do. That's okay. And that's what I asked the other 2 people. What do you think you saw? And by the way, this is a very old, that ain't the old church, but this original church was 1833. So there's some old graves here. This is a very old church. Tallahatchie Baptist Church. That's one thing when I was researching and investigating, when people would call me about sightings or encounters or whatever was going on, I'd always ask them what they thought it was, because I didn't really want to plant a seed in them, go right off bat and say, well, yeah, you got a Bigfoot, and then they, I wanted them to tell me, because I don't want to lead nobody on. And being a researcher, investigator, you're kind of almost trying to debunk it. You're trying to find another reason for what's happening. Most times you don't. Sometimes you do find that, sometimes you don't. I'm coming up on now where a Little Tallahatchie Creek crosses. So you see where all these little creeks are connecting, and They're around farmland and not many houses, so very good habitat for a set of boogers to hang out in. So all three, when I asked that question, said yes, they thought they seen a Bigfoot. And I said, well, more likely you did. Going back to another sighting that actually happened probably about 3 miles north of all those, was a guy I used to work with, and this was in summer of 2013, so 6 months later. A guy I worked with, big bass fisherman, was heading to go fishing about 3 o'clock in the morning. Him and another fella that was going up Highway 21 on the north side. When you get up above the little town of Sycamore and get into what they call Winterboro, you get it goes from 2-lane to 4-lane. They done got on the 4-lane section. They were probably maybe 2 miles past where the high school was at, and they seen a figure walking on the right hand side of the road, walking the way they were going. This guy riding in the passenger seat said, wow, that man's got a fur coat on. And the guy driving said, well, yeah, he does, don't he? He said, what's this man wearing a fur coat? And it, 75 degrees out here. It's middle of summertime. As they got closer, they noticed this was a big old man and walking kind of funny. And that's when the guy said, oh, Lord. And he said, that guy got big old long arms. And he said, look how broad he is. Now, about that time, the guy driving just goes on over and gets in the left-hand lane because he don't, don't run over nobody or hit nothing. So as he gets over, of course, his lights are still on bright. As they get up even with this thing has not left the road, it has not run, it's still at its same pace. When they get up even with it, it turns its head and looks toward the woods and keeps on walking. And his buddy said, I don't think that was a man. And it was strange that this thing stayed out in that road or on the side of the road and turned its head and looked the other way. Now, when he was talking to me about it, I said, well, what color? He said, well, it was, kind of a darkish brown. He said, probably around 7 foot tall. And he said, that sun gun had a broad set of shoulder marks. I said, what do you think you saw? He said, I think I seen a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch like you've called them before. That's okay. That area where they seen him, it was a big row crop area. Both sides of the highway had some pretty good sized fields there. I have no idea if that was a Bigfoot, what he was doing. Why he didn't run, why he didn't face them, why he done what he done. It's almost like he didn't care. Two more sightings from that area, which would be at the high school, which is back down the road about 2 miles and about where the crow flies, 1.5 miles from where the girl and the other guy seen it on Risers Mill Road. Now, this is what Jonathan told me. In Tydale County started building Winterboro's high school a new school because the old school was built in the 1920s. And they've been rebuilding all the schools in the county. Winterboro is one of the last ones. There's one more they got to build. You got to build a new school for. But anyway, There's, of course, during the construction of the school, there's a bunch of dumpsters out there, because they put material in it. And there's one guy that was taking advantage of that, coming in there at night around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, throwing his garbage in those dumpsters, which is good. At least he wasn't throwing them on the side of the road. So, even though he was, still in the wrong, at least they was getting in a dumpster. He come in there one night around 2:30. He pulled up to one of the dumpsters and proceeded to start throwing his garbage in there. About 2 dumpsters over, I think what Jonathan said, this big tall figure stands up, and basically all he can see is the silhouette. He can't really see the colors, I don't think. I need to ask Jonathan about that again. But this silhouette just jumps up out of the dumpster and takes off running and goes down in the woods behind the school there. I can't really give you a whole lot about that sighting without, talking to Jonathan and going through that. A few months later, I think he also told me there was a person about 2 o'clock in the morning coming home from work and had turned on Highway 76. Because the Winterboro School, part of it sits on Highway 76, the other corner sits on Highway 21 in the corner there. This person was coming from Talladega, turned off 21 South on the Highway 76, and as he started going down through there, right as he got past the school, and where you pass the school at, there's some big cotton fields with some big hedgerows. There is a couple of houses right there. This big, tall, brown-looking being comes across the road. Well, of course, that person more likely seen a Bigfoot. I can't go into much more detail about it without Jonathan, being here to tell you. So what I'm getting at is there's a clan just living in that area. This is pretty much, I guess you'd call it south central part of Talladega County. I'm about 5-6 miles from it. Creepy Mountain would be, roughly about 7 miles from it. The town of Childersburg is 7-8 miles. Talladega is 11 miles, and I think Silicaca's 12 miles. I can't remember, give or take. Of course, National Forest ain't too far. That Weoki, Little Tallahatchie, and Tallahatchie all come from the Talladega National Forest. Of course, Tallahatchie's the bigger one of them. It starts down on the Silicaca end, kind of goes straight across the county, pretty much east to west. Weoki starts back up kind of above the Winterboro area and kind of does a southwest flow into Tallahatchie Creek. Then Little Tallahatchie comes in between Sycamore and Winterboro, and Sycamore and Winterboro's 4 miles apart, give or take. So there's 3 creeks, pretty good sized creeks, all coming from the National Forest, just feeding, in together there in that area we just came through. Of course, getting on over to the river is about another 4 or 5 miles. Also, we're not far from the Cuyahoga grist mill, the way the crows fly. Maybe 4 to 5 miles. So I don't think it's the same group from the hunting club or the ones that's been seen in Childersburg. I think those live in that area. That area there has a lot of woodlands that nobody lives on. A lot of farmland with a lot of hedgerows and little spots of timber here and there. food source, a water source. I don't know how much the property gets hunted, but you know, they still know how to dodge hunters. They know how to dodge them. So you know, there's 5 sightings plus the noises and stuff going on at one person's house. You know, it's almost like a triangle from Creepy Mountain down to the National Forest, back up to Winterburg, back to Creepy Mountain, which would be by Childersburg. Almost like a little triangle there. And that's why I've always said there's more than 1 or 2 groups in the Sylacauga area. I think there's multiple, and I ain't gonna come out with no number, but the research I've done and investigations are pointing toward 4 or 5. Now, some of these could be the same ones. They could be. You know, there's a possibility of that. It also could be a possibility that they have spread out and created little family units. And, you know, there's all kind of possibilities with that. Of course, you know, that's my opinion. You know, I'm not no Bigfoot expert. I'm just a person that's experienced and, you know, experienced stuff in the past and through the years, and you know, and tried to investigate best I could when I had time. So it's interesting, very interesting. It just goes to show you, you know, they're in a lot of places. If somebody doesn't see them, and they're not messing around somebody's house, I don't think you're gonna know they're there. I wish I could get permission to go in on some of that property and look around. Probably ain't no telling what you'd find in there. There's just no telling. And I'm sorry about the sun and places. Anyway, I just wanted to bring those few up to you. I know it's not Creepy Mountain, but it's not far from Creepy Mountain. Plus, on this one, you're probably going to see a little bit from Bankhead National Forest. Me and Rebecca went up to Coleman this past Saturday to the Pine Hard Farm Day, which is kind of built more around the 20s and 30s, 40s, 50s farming era. She put a lot of that on Tuesday's video. Check it out if you can. I wish we'd got a lot more footage. They had a thrasher sitting there running, thrashing wheat. There's, you know, grinding corn. I mean, there's all kind of stuff. Guys sitting there, you know, blacksmithing. Just, I mean, it was very neat, very cool. I just love that. I love that era. I've always been fascinated with the early 1900s and the 1800s too, especially with the things they done and how they done it and the tools they had. And I'm gonna tell you, our ancestors, they had it going for what they had to work with. They had it going. They knew how to survive. They knew how to survive off the land and figure out stuff to make it work for them. And they just had that going. So I just love it when I see stuff like that it's still running, still able to do what it was doing. And back then they thought they, kind of like we are now with the phones and TVs and these cars we got. Well, back then that stuff for them was cool. You know, that saved them a lot of labor. You know, you really think about what they went in to survive. Now, I know I done got off the subject, so Rebecca reminds me all the time, hey, now, you need to stay on the subject. So, but I've told you every now and then I'm going to get off on history, or I'm going to mix history in with it, because I think you need to know that history. And that's why I think now my grandmother probably didn't like that area, because them things was probably already there. And I don't know if she's seen one or not, but she may have been hearing them, or, you know, there's no telling. She didn't like it over there. I know that. Well, she didn't like Calmugga much either because all the paranormal stuff with it. Now over Calmugga, I do have some Bigfoot sightings. I got to work over there, or not work, but tell you about later down the road. We'll go over there one day, back to the grist mill, and we'll go across the creek, and I'll show you where one person got a glimpse of one on one of the walking trails. Then there was one walk across the road back below the grist mill, about a half a mile. That's where Talladega Creek comes down through. That's what I was going to tell you. From the Winterburg community up to, toward Talladega, you got Talladega Creek in there, which is the second biggest creek in the county. It comes out of the National Forest too, so there's just roadways there for them to get to the river and a lot of woodlands. So also at the outing, somebody mentioned about a dog man, and I'm not wanting to get off into that, but I am going to check into it because it could be a deformed Bigfoot, or because say there are some Bigfoots that have kind of a snout. I don't know if it's deformity or the inbreeding or what that's from, but I'm going to look into that. I hope it ain't a dog man. I hope them things don't really exist. But I'm going to say this. I didn't know Bigfoot existed till 2007. So knew something was in the woods, but just didn't know what it was. Know what that is now. I'm hoping that other thing ain't running around. So, well, y'all, I'm going to let y'all go. I hope y'all have a good weekend. Hope y'all, everything goes good. Love one another. We can disagree, but still get along, and still be friends, and back each other up. We already got enough tearing down in this world going on. We need to be uplifting and loving on each other. Anyway, this is Mark from Cedar Creek Bottoms Farmstead Life with Friday's Fireside Chats. Hope y'all have a good weekend. Give us a like, subscribe, share, comment, hit that notification bell, and comment. Please comment. And if you have a sighting or encounter you want to talk to me about, you know how to get in touch with me. Anyway, because I'll listen to you no matter what you got to say about it, because I'm not judgmental. But I hope y'all have a good day. And this is Mark, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.